Salve, Regina, Mater misericordiae. We heard the account of the passion and suffering and death of our Lord. Many of us have watched the movie, The Passion of Christ, and we have the church all in sort of darkness and the sign of the grave and silence and not working. All of this is a reminder to us of what our Lord has done for us. He has suffered for us. He has suffered for us. Why? Because of sin. Sin, the horror of sin, we see that in what happened to our Lord, the horror of sin, the evil of sin. And the message, of course, is sin is a terrible thing, and we must, our Lord has paid for it, He's suffered for it in our place. Otherwise, we would have had to suffer what our Lord went through. He paid the price for us so that we don't have to go through that horrible pain and suffering for what we deserve. So we know that, but we need to be reminded of it, that our Lord has taken our place. He has sort of carved the way. He has paved the path for us to have hope, to be reconciled to God, to make it to heaven. He's paved the way. He's cleared the path, and He's made it easy for us. He's made it much easier for us. He's showed us the way, and He's taught us so many things to get there. And we have the cross, we have the crucifix, and we look up to our Lord. When I am raised up from the earth, I will draw all people to myself, our Lord said. And we are constantly with that image in our mind. We have it always in every church. We have it in our homes. We look at the crucifix and we're reminded of what our Lord did. And when we have a good example in our own life, a good example in your family or of your friends, and it's a very good example, that person, that father or mother or brother, really affects the family and changes everyone. They see that powerful example, and that's what the crucifix should be for us, and it is. It's a powerful example of selflessness, sacrifice, generosity, forgiveness, mercy, love. It's all of those things in one, and we are to look at it, and it is to affect us and to make us imitate our Lord. We can't see Him as just an admirable figure that that's the way He is. He's and it doesn't have much. There's no way I can imitate Him. It's not that. We are to imitate our Lord. We are to be self-sacrificing, self-effacing. We are to be patient as He was, patient with all those who abused Him, patient with our weaknesses, and merciful to us. And so as we look at the crucifix, we are to imitate that example and let it affect our lives and change us, because we're not just here as spectators looking at our Lord. We're not just He's carrying all the burden of the cross. We too have to share in the cross. We too have to fight sin and root it out of our life and not offend our Lord anymore. This is He, after His crucifixion and death, He taught His disciples so many things, but that wasn't the end of the world. And He had taught the disciples so many things. He just established the church, and then His apostles had to follow His example. The apostles had to, bear persecutions. They had to preach like Jesus, and they went to their death. Jesus strengthened them to do that, and they followed His example, and they did it, following Jesus' example, and with the strength that our Lord had implanted in them. We too, now we're spectators, but we are participants now too. Now that the death and resurrection of our Lord has happened. We are participants, and we too have to carry our crosses. We have to be follow example and teachings of Jesus. We have to practice that charity. Everything that Jesus said and stood for and set the example for, we must now follow his example as the apostles did, and that's our part. And when we do that, we too will come to the resurrection and glory in union with our Lord.
Fructum ventris tuum,